Hello there, beautiful people. Thank you so much for tuning into Mentium, the podcast that takes you on a journey to unlock the full potential of your mind. My name is Majama. I will be your host and your guide on this adventure into the fascinating realm of mindset, mental fitness, and personal growth. In each episode, I dive deep into the intricacies of the human mind, exploring the power of positive thinking, resilience, and the strategies to cultivate a mindset that propels you towards success. So, buckle up for a journey of self discovery, empowerment, and transformation. Get ready to unleash the power of your mind with Mentium. Hello, welcome everyone. First and foremost, thank you so much for joining me again for another episode of Mentium. Whether you were tuning in during your morning commute, your workout, or just a quiet moment at home, I am thrilled to have you with me. Last week, we talked about self-esteem, and really, I got a lot of feedback. People liked it, and they a lot of them think that it resonated with them. Well, today we will be staying on the same path, exploring another self. This time around, it is self-image. You see, all those self stuff, self-confidence, self-image, self-esteem, self-acceptance, and self-efficacy, to name but a few, are all very important aspects of our lives. So we will be exploring them. Maybe not all of them, because they're most likely they share a common aspect, and it is the self. So basically, when we talk about a few, you can really understand that most of them are really alike and as important as any of them. So today, as we already said, we will be dealing with the complex and fascinating topic of self-image. So let's dive deep into it today. Self-image, as I would like to always start, is always by defining the terms that we are talking about. So what is self-image? So self-image essentially is the mental picture that we have of ourselves. It really boils down to our perceptions, thoughts, and feelings about our appearances, abilities, and personality. It is not just about how we see ourselves physically, but also how we believe others perceive us. Our self-image can profoundly impact our confidence, relationships, and overall well-being. I think we almost said the same thing about self-esteem. It's because they're really related, with a few differences here and there, but definitely because self-esteem focuses on how, like, what self-worth do you give yourself, but self-image really is dealing with what type of mental picture do you have for yourself. Somebody who really did a great work on self-image is called Dr. Maxwell Maltz. Dr. Maltz is the author of a book called Cyber Psychonetics that I would highly, highly recommend for people to read, because it is not only an interesting read, but very, very insightful. You will definitely learn a lot about yourself. Dr. Maltz was a plastic surgeon. So what he realized is that a lot of people will come to him and they would like to have a job done, whether it is fixing their nose, fixing their lips, fixing what have you, like a lot of things that they didn't like about their body, or they didn't like about like how they look and things like that. He realized that after performing all those surgeries, some people were really happy about the results. Others were still angry because no matter what changes were made to their faces or their bodies, it boils down to the same thing. They're still unhappy. So he went on to deduct that really, until the internal picture that they have of themselves is changed, nothing in the outside would make a difference. So that's what forces him really to write extensively about self-image, but also do a lot of work with patients to help them, understand that it is not the outside, but it is the inside. So he talked about this, understanding that self-image is then really the opinion you have of yourself. It is like a blueprint of yourself, a roadmap of where you are going in life, because everything about our life starts with our mind. So it is really mental. So why self-image is so important? Because self-image is a product of past experiences, failures, successes, humiliations, and trials. It is also the way other people react to you, especially in your early childhood. The images you created yourself about yourself, but more importantly, the ones that you believe to be true. When we talk about early childhood here, I think it is important to note that from an early age, our self image begins to take shape through interactions with family, friends, and society. So, compliments that we receive, or criticism, or media portrayal, and cultural norms all play a role in forming this internal mirror. Positive reinforcement can build a healthy self image, while negative experiences can distort our view of ourselves. So, you see, when we are a child and people give us harsh criticism that, like, we are not looking good, or we look sloppy, or we will never amount to anything, we start to build a mental picture of all of that. And it is remaining in our brain. And we know most of the things that we do are not really governed by our conscious mind. But we had an episode where we talked about the three levels of our mind. I think it might have been episode 1. That's where we discuss conscious, subconscious, and superconscious mind. So I will really recommend you to go and listen to that one. But basically, our subconscious mind is more responsible for our day-to-day lives, because whatever it is that we took in, either as a child or just because we were having negative self-talk, all of that will come to reality through our subconscious mind. But today, as we mentioned earlier, the focus, we would like to lay it on self-image. Talk about really, like right now, if we talk about our own world, we try to understand the impact of media in society. Because the influence of media and societal standards are everywhere. And every day we are bombarded with images, messages that tell us what we should look like, how we should act, and what defines success. Social media platforms in particular can be double-edged swords. On one hand, they allow us to connect and share our lives. On the other hand, they often present idealized versions of reality, leading to comparisons that can harm our self-image. Because if we believe a certain type of image to be true, to be better, to be stronger, we tend to compare ourselves with that image. And if we do not look like that, or if we do not act or behave like that, then we do not really appreciate who we are, because society has already told us, to be successful, or to be looking good, or to be, doing a certain type of things, of greatness in life, you have to look a certain way. That's the reason why we said it could be really a double-edged sword. And we definitely need to pay attention to that, because if just think about the last time you scrolled through Instagram or watch a commercial, how often did you compare yourself to the people you saw? It's natural to make comparison, but when we constantly measure ourselves against unrealistic standards, it can lead to feelings of inadequacy and low self-esteem. But now let's talk about the power of self-talk. Because most of these things are happening because of an internal dialogue that we have with ourselves. If you always listen to this podcast, you will hear me say that the most important conversations that we will ever have are the ones that we have with ourselves. So self talk is important. A critical aspect of self image is self talk, the internal dialogue that runs through our minds. This self talk can be positive and uplifting or negative and destructive. Imagine you made a mistake at work. Do you tell yourself it's okay? Everyone makes mistakes. Or do you think I'm such a failure? Positive self talk, as we said, can reinforce a healthy self image, encouraging resilience and a growth mindset. Negative self talk, however, can erode self confidence and perpetuate a cycle of self doubt. Becoming aware of our self talk patterns is the first step towards cultivating a more compassionate and realistic self view. This is really important. Earlier we talked about how Dr. Maltz was talking about his patients, and then some of them, even after doing surgery or whatever to fix what they thought needed to be fixed, they were still not happy. It's because of the self-talk that they were having with themselves. If you tell yourself constantly that you were a bad speller, or you were bad at math, or you were shy, or you were an introvert, all of these things are limiting belief of yourself, because there is always that internal conversation going on in you. It is up to you to watch it and limit it or even turn it around before it actually becomes something negative. So basically what I'm saying is, if you change the way you think, you change terms like I can't to how can I, because you need to remember that growth and success, they start with a series of questions, open-ended questions that are one that you cannot answer a yes or a no. Because if you say I can't do something, well, the natural progression is to put a full stop, because you already concluded the sentence, I can't do this, period. But if you say, how can I do this? You cannot answer yes or no. So it is an open-ended question that will force you to think deeper, therefore growing yourself, but also achieving success in that level that you would like to be successful in. So from there, we would like to talk about how to build a healthy self-image. I think this is almost like what we talked about on self-esteem, but the only thing we might focus on here is really to limit media consumption. Be mindful of how much media you consume. Follow accounts and engage with content that promotes authenticity and self-acceptance, rather than comparing yourself with some unrealistic standards. But also, something that is very crucial is to always focus on your strength and not your weaknesses, because nobody, and I mean nobody, is perfect. But if you acknowledge your achievements and your strength, you keep a journal where you note down positive experiences and things that you are proud of. That will help you focus on the positive side of your life, but also focusing on something that is absolutely crucial and important for you. One thing definitely that we need to pay attention to is understanding that it's not like everything that you see out there is true. If you see somebody who's successful today, with a lot of things that you want, never ever believe that it is overnight. Even though sometimes the media would portray all of these type of stuff when they want to sell you something, do this and overnight you will get that. That doesn't happen, because people would go through a lot of hardships, through a lot of turmoils that other people do not see or witness. All they see is the end result. Any result that you see, there is a lot of things behind it that really formed it to be what it is today. So believe in yourself. I'm sure you've already heard the term, we become what we think about, or thoughts are things. All of that is definitely something we need to pay attention to. So how do we really build a healthy self-image? That's what we would like to talk about next. It is just like giving you some action steps that we believe if you follow, definitely it will help you out. I would say number one is to list all the things that you like about yourself, including your appearance, personality, and your skills. Acknowledge that and believe that these are really your source of power. Another thing is that learn how to take compliments. When people compliment you, note them down and just say thank you. There is no need somebody tells you, oh, you have a beautiful suit on, or you have a beautiful dress. A lot of time people will say, well, I got it on sale. It was on sale. I got it from this store. Well, that was not the point. Nobody asked you if it was on sale or how much was it. They just say you are wearing a beautiful dress. Thank the person who is giving the compliment and let it at that. If you want to take a note for yourself, then do it. But please learn to take compliment, because it is very important. Another thing is, when you were thinking in a certain way, question whether your view of yourself is accurate and why you see yourself like you do. Because most of the time, people would have these erroneous ideas about themselves, that they're not looking good, or they this way or that way. And that is not based on facts, actually. So question, if you have things like that in your mind, question yourself. Is it really true? Where do I base this? Where did I get this from? Because it is very important. Another thing is also to always accept the things about yourself that are true and learn to think about them in a positive way. If there is things that you do not like about yourself, or that you cannot change, for instance, you have a flat nose, maybe you don't like that, but try to accept it, because it is true. That is who you are. You don't need surgery to remove it. You don't need anything. You just need to reframe your brain to think of it, or to look at it in a beautiful way, because some other people maybe would die to have that nose that you have right now. So think about that. Also, take yourself less seriously and lighten up. Having fun sometimes can help, but also accept criticism constructively, so that you can move forward and improve yourself. It's not whenever you receive a criticism that you need to explain yourself, that you need to defend yourself. No, take it in, because the person who's giving this to you is just trying to help. It is called constructive criticism. Take it in and improve yourself. Do not be limited by your internal image. Step outside of it and break free. It doesn't have to control you or keep you down. And the final one I would like to share here is really to take on challenges positively and surprise yourself. I would definitely ask you to read these two books, because they will help on self-image and self-esteem. The number one is by Dr. Nathaniel Brandon. I mentioned him last week about self-esteem. I think he wrote a book called The 6 Pillars of Self-Esteem. So I would highly recommend for you to read that one. The other one is by Dr. Maxwell Maltz. Dr. Maltz wrote the book Psycho-Cybernetics. Okay, Psycho-Cybernetics. Those are the two books that I wanted to share with you. Coming to the end of this podcast, I just wanted to say, remember that self-image is not fixed. It is a dynamic aspect of who we are that can evolve with time and effort. By understanding its components and influences, we can take proactive steps towards nurturing a positive and empowering self view. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey. If you found today's episode helpful, please follow Mentium, share it with your friends, and please leave a review, because your feedback helps us reach more people and spread the message of self-love and acceptance. Um, this is what we are here for. Our goal is to add value to your life each and every episode that we release. So thank you so much. Until next time, embrace your true self, because you are uniquely, perfectly, and wonderfully made. Take care of yourself and your loved ones. Peace.